Hello, Get Speaking Gigs, fans, friends, followers, alumni, countrymen, Romans, whatever. This is Tim David, and in this surprise live broadcast video, I am going to share with you the 4 phases of a successful speaker launch. Now, this is being recorded on November 22nd, a great time to plan a speaker launch for yourself to hit the ground running in 2022. November is when I plan my upcoming year, and I have some very exciting things planned for my own speaking business. And I certainly would love to take you along on the journey. In fact, I'll be working with 7 speakers very, very closely to help them with their speaker launch, taking them through these 4 phases. But before we get to the details of that, and I do want to share with you the details of that, I don't know, coaching program, mentorship program, mastermind group, one-on-one time, take you under my wing sort of process. But before we do that, I want to share with you the 4 phases of a speaker launch. This is something that you can take and do, and I highly, highly recommend that you approach speaking with these 4 phases in mind. And I do want you to start thinking about speaking in terms of a launch, right? If you're not getting the type of highly paid speaking gigs that you want, you definitely want to sort of burst out onto the scene or burst out onto the scene. And these are the 4 phases to make that happen with impact. Phase number one, you want to work on what I call your bookability. There is no point in going and trying to get speaking gigs if you are not a bookable speaker. So you could send all the emails in the world. You could have the greatest website and demo video in the world, but without these bookability assets, without this bookability in place, you are going to be banging your head against the wall. This might be why you have been doing a lot of free speaking, but not a lot of paid speaking. This might be why your fees are not as high as you see other speakers getting. This might be why you are sending out a ton of requests for, filling out the call for speakers, but not getting a lot of feedback. The reason is you might just not be bookable, right? And bookable by the way that meeting professionals define it. Bookability is this, it's almost intangible, but it's become tangible over the last few years when I've worked with speakers. So you want to identify what is your messaging, how are you positioned in the marketplace, what are your marketing assets, your bookability assets, we call them, the pieces of language that you use to describe yourself, how you answer the question, what do you speak about, your speech itself. There's so many components to making you bookable so that when a meeting professional comes across your world, they say to themselves, ooh, that is exactly what we need. It's a little bit different. It's exciting. And we need it yesterday. How much can we possibly pay for that? So that is the goal when it comes to bookability, is slowing down the eyeballs of the meeting professionals as they're swiping and scrolling through dozens of speakers that they are trying to decide on. So that is that. Let's, why is it? There we go. Welcome. I see a couple people on the live stream on YouTube as well as Facebook. So let's go to phase number 2. So phase number 1, bookability. Figure out, okay, what is your core topic? How do you fit into the larger bucket of what people are already booking? And also, how do you fit into the narrow bucket of your expertise and your passion and what you speak about, and how your expertise aligns with what they want? Whew, that is a big piece of bookability right there. What about speech titles and, how you introduce yourself, how you describe what you do, language on your website? All of that stuff is really, really important for bookability. Bookability takes a lot of hard decisions. It requires a lot of soul searching. It is not easy to make those hard decisions. And this is why many, many speakers aren't bookable. They can't decide, oh, I want to just speak on this topic and focus. I have so many other things that I could speak about, and I don't want to shoot myself in the foot. I don't want to rob myself of opportunities. So they don't focus. And an unfocused speaker is not a bookable speaker. So Of course, how you focus is another conversation for another day. So that is phase number one of a speaker launch: is you square away the bookability asset, so that when the eyeballs do start coming on to you, and they will, that they slow down a little bit and they say, that is interesting, it's important, it's valuable, it's relevant, and it's just enough of a unique approach where it's not so different than what we're used to, but it makes us lean in and go, isn't that interesting? What is this thing on my hat? It's been bothering me a little bit. I don't know. So phase number two of the process, very, very simply, phase number two of the process is figuring out what it is that you want to sell, what it is that you want to offer, and how you can come alongside of a client or an organization and help them with your area of expertise. So many speakers say, well, I want to speak. That's what I want to do. I want to stand on a stage and speak. Well, that's one opportunity that you have to create change. And it's one opportunity that you have to get paid. But if you have more opportunities to create change and more opportunities to get paid, then you're in business, literally. So there are so many things that you can do as an expert, right? As someone who has a story or someone who has a message that they want to share, how you convey that message in your speech. Maybe you have a workshop that you can convey that message. Maybe you have a book or an online course that you can convey that message. Maybe you have a coaching program or a pilot sort of group program that you want to take people through. There's all kinds of ways to monetize your message, but it's not just about the money. It's about finding other ways to come alongside people and serve them in a bigger way. So we call this building out your service menu. What is going to be on the menu? And these are important decisions to make. You don't have to write the book. You don't have to create the course just yet. You don't have to develop the coaching program or the consultation packages. You don't have to do any of that stuff just yet. But you do want to think about what it is that you could do and that you want to do. Some people are like, coaching? No way, no thanks, not at all. I just want to stand on a stage and speak. You got to make those decisions for yourself. But when you build out your service menu, you do two things. Number one, you increase the ability to help and serve your audiences. Plain and simple. Number two, you increase the opportunities to submit a proposal for a speaking gig that is enormous, right? We're talking 5-6 figure contracts here. This is the real secret for how speakers not just get booked, right? Because again, it's not always the cheapest price that gets the gig. Sometimes it's the person who can do the most. And that can differentiate you in and of itself. And if you can come alongside and say, hey, I'm not just going to give you a speech, I'm going to give you a real solution to your problem, then people will pay a lot more money for that. So those are the two reasons why we want to build out our service menu, create more change, help more people, but also create these enormous contracts. And again, this is the secret to how a speaker might turn a $5,000 booking or even a $10,000 booking and turn it into a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 contract. So that is phase number two. Now, once you have this service menu, once you have your bookability assets, you may need to reevaluate the speech that you give. You may need to rework. You may need to tweak. You may need to alter, adjust, rewrite the speech. And if you are not a speaker yet, then you need to develop a speech, or at least a speech outline and an idea of what you might say if someone said, hey, we want to pay you $5,000. We want to pay you $10,000 to come and speak to our organization. Having an idea of what you're going to say is really important. But your speech, right, when you're on stage, is not just the mechanism by which you deliver your core concepts and your big ideas that'll help people. But it's also a way that you get to know people. It's a way that they get to know you. And by using that speech to help push people along your product and service menu, you can create all kinds of opportunities for yourself. So your speech is your best marketing tool, not just to get more speeches, but to sell some of these other programs and products and invite people into your world to create more change and create more income for yourself. Now, some speakers will create a great service menu, a great what I call signature speech, your reputation making speech. And they have such a good system in place that they don't even need to charge for the speech. All they have to do is go out and book free speeches, which many of you know, quite easy to get booked when it's free, right? You still have to sell free, but it's a lot easier than selling a $10,000 speaking gig. So if you can go and you can speak for free and yet still earn 5 or 6 figures from that speech, suddenly the doors are opening up, right? Suddenly the opportunities are presenting themselves. I know some speakers who are already booked. Their entire year is booked for 2022, not just because the pandemic restrictions are sort of lifting here, not just because they have an amazing marketing strategy and they're getting all kinds of eyeballs on them, but they have deep relationships and they have a keynote speech that is turned into these contracts that last a long time. So there's some business security. You don't have, I mean, if you were just doing a speech, you get on the stage, you do the speech, and now you're unemployed immediately if you're just a paid speaker. But if you have these other components in place, again, opportunities start opening up like crazy. So that's an exciting piece of the puzzle as well. That's phase 3, developing that signature reputation making speech that guides people, not just through your big idea, but also into your world and your process to invite them to work with you further. Okay, now that brings us to phase number 4. This is the phase that a lot of people think is phase 1. It is not phase 1. It is crazy to think that this is phase 1. This is phase 4. And this is where you build out your marketing strategies, your marketing plan, your outreach. How is it that you are going to get in front of the people who are hiring speakers? Now, the good news is if you do phases 1, 2, and 3 correctly, then you may not need to work so hard on phase 4. I'm going to give you a little secret. Back in 2009, I started doing phases 1, 2, and 3, and I have never needed to really spend a lot of time on phase 4. I have had enough connections and relationships and opportunities open up, spin-off work, spin-off of spin-off work, where from 2009 to 2021, I have been booked consistently. Save that moment in March 2020 when everybody said, we're canceling our events. We are postponing our events. There was one cancellation, which they paid anyway for their, I mean, we had some contracts and things like that with my agent, and they sort of had a lot of those conversations. So I was able to still get a few checks, even though those gigs were outright canceled. But most of the clients postponed, right? So with that exception, with the pandemic sort of exception, there has been not a year since when I haven't been booked the way that I want to be booked as a speaker. So when you do phases 1, 2, and 3 intelligently with sort of a multi-pronged approach, it sometimes takes care of the marketing and outreach. It sometimes automatically draws people into your world, again, if you do this with intention and with intelligence. So phase 4 is certainly what is the marketing activity that you are going to do. And there's a lot of them, right? And nobody likes to just be a salesperson. I get it. You got into this business to be a speaker. You don't want to sit there and just research organizations by the hundreds and blast out emails by the thousands and just play the numbers game and the rejection game. No, I don't want to say nobody likes that. I don't like that. So rather, let's find the approach that works for you. And there are many, many different ways to get speaking gigs. David Newman says there are many paths up the mountain. I add to that, yep, as long as you just avoid the psychopaths, think you'll be in good shape. You don't want to go up those paths that are rocky, treacherous, difficult. There's other easier ones, right? But the ones that are easy sometimes aren't always the ones that are effective. Sometimes there is a perfect marriage of ease and effective. Some things are easy for you. I mean, this is definitely a personal choice. Here's my takeaway. Here's my message to you. Find the marketing system that you can do on a consistent basis that you enjoy, that is effective for you, and that you can keep up with. Then avoid the rest. Don't chase all of the shiny objects. Don't dilute your efforts. Do a few things, do them well, but do them consistently. That is the big secret for marketing and outreach as a speaker. So let me tell you, like I said, that process has worked for me, and I've been really thinking in terms of launching slash relaunching and using moments like an actual like launch of a speaker to really jump in, dive in, and hit the ground running. Especially, I mean, it's a great it's a built-in opportunity. The new year coming up, it's a built-in opportunity. The post-pandemic world opening up. It is a built-in opportunity with so many organizations and individuals struggling through these difficult economic times, these difficult, I know supply chains are being interrupted and all kinds of travel and events, all kinds of disruption. People need your message. They need it, and they need it now more than ever. Dean Hankey, love having you here, man. I was thinking about you last night. Was speaking with someone, and you came up. Tim is a super smart dude and knows his stuff for sure. Heart, find out what he knows, unless you don't want to be successful. So those are the 4 phases. It's easy to know, right? And you know this, Dean. It's the implementation that is the trick for a lot of people. It's the actual consistent doing of it. And sometimes the lack of doing does come from a lack of knowledge. I've had a lot of people say to me, if I just knew what to do, I would do it. But more often it is, working through difficult decisions, not trusting yourself and saying, oh, this is a great speaking topic, and this is a great speech, and this is a great speech title, and a great, chunk of website copy or whatever. And, they don't have that confidence because they don't understand the mindset of the buying audience in this case. So there's lots to be said about the knowledge. And if the knowledge can turn into action and can sort of grease that chute and help along the way. But I don't know about you, Dean, but there are some people I know in the business space where it's almost like ignorance is bliss. Like if I had to choose, if somebody would just get out there and act and sort of do and figure out on the way, I'll take that person over the person who sits and learns 1,000 things before they take a step. So that is my take anyway. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, and action trumps knowledge. So, but yeah, those are the 4 phases. As you know, I'm taking a small group of speakers by the hand, one-on-one, working with them over the course of the coming months. Yes, our action will outperform ideas and intentions alone every single time, for sure. Done is the new perfect. I love it. So, and I know you're a huge proponent of that, Dean, and I just wanted to clarify for our replay viewers and live viewers here. All right, so that is what I'm doing. That is what I am excited about. There's an email that had gone out. If you're on the getspeakinggigs.com email list, you would have gotten that. Check it out. Look at the details. We've gotten more applications than we have spots, but that doesn't mean the spots are filled. There are 7 spots available. 2 of them are officially taken. 1 of them is just about to be taken. So that leaves about 4 spots, give or take, where I will be, again, working with speakers to launch or relaunch their speaking business with the 4 phases. Again, bookability, right? Create those bookability assets. Find out what your service menu is going to be and how you're going to create huge change and get huge contracts as a result. Number 3, develop a new signature reputation-making speech that is a spark plug for this system. It's a spark plug for your idea, get your big idea across, but it also invites people into your world. And then finally, number 4, what is your marketing plan going to be that you get up every day and are excited to implement rather than dreading it? And what is it that is actually going to work to get speaking gigs in 2022 and not just something that may have worked in, 1992. So that is absolutely the 4-step process that I'll be taking 4 more people through in 2022. And if you are interested, if you want information, there is an application process, of course, but let me just go ahead and invite you to send me an email. Getspeakinggigs@gmail.com will come directly to me. Getspeakinggigs@gmail.com. I've just posted it into the chat. Hopefully that's gone everywhere. And that is that. That is my message for you this morning. That is my message for you as we wrap up in some ways 2021 and we look ahead to 2022, and how are you going to launch slash relaunch your speaking business? You know, if you have a successful existing speaking business, you can still do this process. You can still hold up your business to the light and see, where are the cracks? How can I improve this? How can I make this better? How can I make this more integrated and systematic and intentional and create even bigger change in people's lives and create even bigger contracts for myself? How can I do that? How can I work maybe a little bit less, but yet earn a little bit more or a lot more? So that's exciting. Dean says, let me know what I can do to serve you, brother. Always happy to help share the good news and the chocolatey goodness if that helps. Dean, it always does. And let me tell you, that message, I can speak for you on this. I can. I feel like I can. I feel like I know you well enough. Anybody reading that message, let me know what I can do to serve you. Dean is talking to you. Dean is speaking to you. If you are within earshot of that message, Dean will help you and serve you, and has always been happy to help share the good news and the chocolatey goodness. So that is it from me today. Email me if you're interested in that. Again, there's 4 available spots, 4.5 available spots for this. I'm excited to do this. I haven't opened up coaching spots, one-on-one coaching spots, in over almost 2 years, right? January 2020, great time to do so, was the last time I did that. And, you know, I'm super excited to be working with this group. You know, if you're just interested in the masterminding component, you know, email me what you're interested in. We'll see what we can do. But I think this is a great way to go through all 4 phases of a speaker launch, and a great time post pandemic, brand new year. January, February is time to make hay in the speaking business. It's time to get those bookings for the March and the April and the October and the September. So those are certainly a few good reasons why you might want to reach out. I'm now going to talk you out. I'm going to spend a little bit of time here to talk you out of applying for my speaking coaching program, right? I sent an email about this, and I mentioned there's a few ways to be talked out of this. And the reason I want to talk you out of this is because there's really only, again, 4.5 remaining spots, and a lot of people, this sells out every time, and I know a lot of people will be interested in this. So I want to let you know the real deal here. This will be a lot of work. This will require that you make change in your business and maybe even in your life. Change in results requires a change in activities, behaviors, systems, mindsets, and change is inherently painful. So you should know that's the downside for change. Another downside is this will be quote unquote expensive if you view this in terms of expense instead of investment. There is a price tag on this, and it is, I mean, I think it's ridiculously reasonable. It's less than what you'd get for one halfway decent gig. But it is, you know, it is up there for some people. Now, you will have to let go of some old mindsets. You will have some difficult decisions to make. The kind of decisions, as I was talking about earlier, that keep you up at night, the ones that you really stress about as a speaker. And you're going to feel a little blind if you're not familiar with the marketplace and with the industry and with what's going on right now in the industry. You may feel that some of these decisions are a little bit like throwing a dart, right? So you may need to sort of trust the process, trust your coach in this process. But again, those decisions will feel like close your eyes and jump, and that's not easy to do. So again, if you're not ready for that, not a program for you. I'm going to ask you to fill out an application first. There is definitely a sense that this is not for everybody. I don't work with speakers who want to get into youth speaking, for example. I don't work with speakers who want to get into you know, speaking to just individuals like Tony Robbins style, put on their own seminars and events. Dean can help you with that for sure. I don't speak to people who want to speak in sort of the religious marketplaces, not because, you know, not because of any sort of belief issue with any of these things, just that my specialty is high fee corporate gigs. I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm not going to pretend that I know a whole lot about youth speaking in 2022, because I did my youth speaking 5, 10 years ago, right? So I am going to stick with my lane and what I know. And if you want to speak to business, excuse me, if you don't want to speak to business audiences for high fees, then my methods may not be the best fit for you. So that is why not to email getspeakinggigs@gmail.com. But other than that, I'm going to sign off before this video gets too long. And as always, we will speak soon.